I'm excited to return here. There's a whole series of reasons which you've been reading the press, I've been articulating as I've talked to members of the press and the media, but it's both a professional and a personal endeavor in terms of the right move. I have 29 years of my professional career here at the University System of Maryland. That's hard to believe. When I first arrived, I felt I would be here a couple of years and then go back to New England. 40 years later, I finally went back to New England, but I didn't stay that long. 40 years, and I'm now back in Maryland. But it's also personal. We have family here. My only grandchild is here. Liz and I have really, though we see them on a regular basis, we'll be able to see the grandchild and daughter on a much, much more regular basis. And we look forward to being able to do that. Liz's mother is here. Liz's brother is here. Our new sister-in-law, sometime today, they're getting married, is here. It's a very private ceremony, so we're not sure.
Right.
So we have a growing cohort. In our careers, we have never, any of us who have done this for some period of time, I don't think have experienced the kind of change that we're experiencing today. It's the kind of change that's can fundamentally move us in a direction that could be good or could be bad. And so one of my commitments is to try to make sure, in terms of my belief and value system, that it moves us in a direction that's good. And obviously that's a subjective thing in terms of what we all believe in. But one of the things I absolutely believe in, though I've been an administrator for many years, I'm still a core academic. And I still believe in the academy, and I believe in human development, the learning and educational process. And I'm going to fight hard as we go through this change. You know, you can deal with operating budgets, you can deal with capital budgets, both of which are critical to us. But that's the secular side of our world. The spiritual side of our world is the human development and learning. And sometimes when you get into a pressure situation like this, people forget about that piece because they're looking for simple ways out of a very, very complex problem. I can tell you I've talked to Britt a lot over the last couple of months. Sometimes just casual questions, sometimes he's threatening me. But we've had a good dialogue, and I wouldn't be here if Britt hadn't really pushed me to look at the position in a very serious way. And I also want to thank the new governor-elect. Governor-elect Hogan has put out very strong words of support, which is a good sign. I knew him slightly during the Ehrlich administration. I believe I'll be able to work well with him and his new team and look forward to those challenges. You know, the university system is an economic and educational engine for the state of Maryland. The primary focus, as has been mentioned, which will continue to be our primary focus, is access and affordability, but with high quality. And I always say, we are not, and I say this to the elected officials all the time, you're not going to force us to give up on quality just to provide access, because mediocre access is not worth anything to anybody. So access and affordability with quality. But in our segment, we have also a huge research endeavor that we need to maintain. And so a research endeavor that leads to economic vitality, a research endeavor that leads to better social well-being, and an educational and research endeavor that leads to providing workers, the workforce of the future, but more so from an educated citizenry perspective. Educated citizens who go to work, not just widgets who go to work. And that's a huge part of what we have to do as higher education institutions. We also, and this system has done it as well as any I have seen, have to focus on innovation, be ready for change, be ready to adapt. Britt and I are on a lot of national boards together. Some months I see him every week in Washington. He and I agree that one of the most substantive challenges ahead of us is the completion agenda, as well as the access agenda for what we call the new immigrants of society, all of the people who are coming through our doors who used to come through our doors. And we're going to have to figure out, and we talked about this recently in, I think it was an AGB or APLU meeting, how to do that in a way that is cost effective without decreasing quality. And that's the big change before us. And we're looking at, as you all are, and we all will too together, things like the flipped classroom, more online and modular online, competency-based education and adaptive learning, whatever we can do to improve the learning and educational environment, but at the same time, increase productivity so that the cost per graduate is not any more, and preferably is less, and at the same time, increase the percentage of students going through the doors. I have said for many years, because I have two hats, I have my educator's hat and I have my tax-paying citizen's hat. And we can't just continue to invest in people as a feel-good exercise. Society thinks they're investing in people to go to some form of completion. And we've got to get them to some form of completion in a much more effective way than we have in the past. So we hear the University of Maryland, a $5 billion enterprise, 25% of which is supported by the state of Maryland. 153,000 students and putting out 36,000 graduates a year. 70–80% of those graduates staying here. 900,000 alums across the globe, and another 500,000 roughly here in the state of Maryland. An R&D budget of $1.2 billion that generates about $4 billion, I like to round up, $4 billion in economic vitality for the state. We are necessary to the state of Maryland. Maryland is what it has become in large part because of this system. And we've been there in the past for them, and we want to be there in the future for them. But in the future, we're going to continue to focus on what we had in the past. We're going to focus on affordability, access, and quality. We're going to focus on our research mission, innovation, and economic development. But we're going to have to do it in a way that's adaptive, that's reflective of the change. It may change our structure. Some of us may be smaller rather than bigger. There's a lot of new possibilities out there for students to get credentialed in different ways. They don't have to all come through our doors. But we need to maintain a critical mass that allows us to function to achieve our mission. And I think a huge part, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but one of the things that has made me successful in the political world and in the business world is the ability to explain things to members of government and members of the business community in ways that they haven't been able to see it before. And in doing so, garner trust and belief in where we're going, and hence the support we need to get where we're going. One of the things I've done in Massachusetts is all of the large business organizations, whenever we go for a piece of legislation, they're right there with us. Business gets government's attention in some ways much, much better than we do, and we need to be able to do that also. So I'm excited and energized. I am type A, I haven't changed. I like the joke that I used to try to slow myself down and move my hands less, but my blood pressure went up. So I just am who I am, and I've always been who I am. When I met with the search committee at one point, one of the members of the search committee, not to be named, said, you know, you answered all the questions, and no other candidate did that, and you did it in half the time they did. I'm excited and energized. I'm ready to be here. I'm ready to do my part. All of you obviously have to do your parts also. We can do it together. It is a team effort. I really do appreciate the opportunity the board's providing me. And I want to thank you again for bringing me and Liz back here to our home. We're very excited to become part of the University System of Maryland family again. Thanks again.